Hi and assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be working on an interesting project that would be like converting a script to an audio file. We're going to be using an AI tool known as AudioStack, and we're going to be using its Python SDK and using its API in order to complete our task. Furthermore, we're going to be creating the front end using Next.js, TypeScript and TailwindCSS. And for the back end, we're going to be using AudioStack's Python SDK. Plus, we're going to be creating a fast API. So let's get started on this project. Okay, so just to create a new folder and open it inside VS Code. In order to start, just write this command npx create next app at latest inside your terminal. Okay, I'll just name this frontend app as frontend, and we're going to be using TypeScript, ESLint to yes, Tailwind CSS yes. We're not going to be using any src directory. We are going to be using app router and no. And right now our front end part or like next app would be like configured. So while that is being done, let's set up the backend stuff. Create a new folder, namely backend. In that, create a main.py file. Okay, this is basically the file where all of your fast API would be created. We are gonna be needing a environment variables file, so let's just create it right now. Also, we're gonna be needing another file, and we're gonna be creating this folder audio file. Just fine if you don't want to create it, because inside this code we're gonna be adding a condition that if this folder does not exist to create it, but it's just better to like create it from the start, because this is where all of our generated audio files would be stored on the server. And now let's our backend setup is done. Let's move on to front end since it is all being configured. So let's create our components folder. We take a look. This is how your front end should look like, front end folder, and this is how your backend folder should look like. Okay, so for the components, first of all, go to your page.tsx over here in the app folder. Go over here in the page.txs, delete everything, and just import header from add, like from the root folder component slash header. Just import these three components. These are all we're going to be needing for this project. It's just some basic Tailwind CSS like flex. We're just going to make everything in the column form. We're going to be having everything justified between so that it takes up like the full height of the screen. We're going to be placing header first, then audio component, and then the footer component. Okay, let's go to the header component first. Just export default function header, no rocket science whatever. I just like made it really simple so that you guys can play around with the design, create your own, like use your own creativity, use your own colors. It's just like basic simple black header with the white text. So it's just like this. And then we have the footer, and over here just footer bg black and all that stuff, really simple stuff. And then we go to our audio component. So over here what we are going to be doing is that this is going to be a client component. So what is happening is that first of all there's this one div which is going to be having a text area and then two buttons. Okay, so for this, first of all, we have the text area. Inside this text area, the user will add in their script. It's just some basic Tailwind CSS, and over here the value will be set to script. This value of the script is the one that will go towards our backend in order to like add in the text over there. That is to be converted in the audio file. And then we have this button of generate audio, and then we have this link of download audio. So this is just a download button. Let's just run this for, okay, let's just run this first. Make sure you are in the front end folder and then write the command npm run dev. This is gonna be some really basic setup. Okay. Yes, as you guys can see over here, we have this text area, this generate audio button, and then this download audio button. Don't worry, after we are done adding in the functionality, this download audio button would only be visible after the audio file has been generated. We're going to be adding a condition over to it. Okay. In order to create our fast API, we do need AudioStack in order to like convert the script to audio. This is basically what we're gonna be using. So search up AudioStack on Google. So I will also provide the link to this main page in the description box below. So you guys can also like take this link from there. Just open it and sign in. I've already like signed in, so I don't need to like sign in again. You guys can just create an account using your like Google account over here. There's like no like fee for creating the account. So over here, this is my dashboard. I've already played around a lot. You guys do get 250 free credits. So there's that over here. What we are gonna do is that you're gonna go to the developers option, and then you're gonna go to AudioStack for developer. Over here you guys are gonna generate your API key. You have to generate the key, and then after it's generated, just copy and paste it. I've already like done generating the key, and over here in the env file you have to write this AudioStack API key and then paste your API key over here. And let me show you guys another thing over here. This is the API documentation. From here we are gonna be using like the Python SDK. You guys can see there is like the API reference over here, and the guides are over here. So there's like the beginners guides and the developers guide. Over here in the developers guide we have the Python SDK. We're gonna be using the Python SDK for this, but you guys can also like use just the JavaScript SDK. So from here you guys have to like install the Python SDK. I've already written the commands over here. So what you're gonna be doing is that open the backend folder. First we're gonna install FastAPI, then we're gonna install UVcon, and then we're gonna install python.env. After that is done, we're gonna like install the AudioStack SDK. Since I've already installed all those things, so they are already present, and then we're gonna install the AudioStack SDK. And of course this requirement is already been satisfied over here, so there's that. And after you guys have like done setting up your env, we are ready to work inside our main.py file in order to create our fast API. Let's start by importing the necessary libraries. First of all, we'll import FastAPI. We'll import FastAPI, and then we'll import form. FastAPI is for creating the web application, and form is for parsing the data that we'll get from frontend, which in this case would be the script that will like get from frontend and place it in backend. You'll see that in a few minutes where we'll be using that script. HTTP exception is for handling the HTTP errors, and this is for serving the static files. And we're importing the course middleware in order to like enable cross origin resource sharing, and this would basically allow us to communicate from the front end to the back end. Like in this case, the time that we're gonna be like taking the script from front end, and then we're gonna like the if you guys remember, I told you guys that the download button would only show if the audio is done generating. So where do we get that from? That is, the backend would tell the front end that the audio is done generating, and then pass a URL to the front end to show that the audio is done generating, and then the audio is available for download. And then we're gonna be using external libraries and modules. We're gonna be using AudioStack mainly. You guys already know, I explained it just a few minutes before about what AudioStack was and what are we gonna do with it. And of course we're gonna be like importing .env in order to import the environment variable, the AudioStack API key that is placed over here in the .env file. Over here I have already loaded the .env, and then I created an instance of app to which I've assigned the fast API. Over here we have like we already have a directory name audio files that is like set up to serve the static files. The static files in this case being all the audio files that are generated, they would go inside this folder. And then we have the course setting. These settings basically allow like an request from any origin, and this basically facilitates the like communication between backend and frontend. But if you guys are going for production, do not use these settings. Don't learn from this. This is like just for development purposes, so that there is convenience for developers. But generally you like write the domain of the you like write the domain of the front end from which only the communication should be possible, and the methods like get, post, delete, those should be over here, and the over here authorization types and that type of stuff should be written over here. And please don't use this for production. And over here we have the AudioStack.api key that we are getting from the env file. We have named it as AudioStack API key. Okay, so we start by creating a like generate audio function. This would serve as like over here, as you can see, this would serve as a web endpoint. And this is accessible via post request to this URL slash generate audio slash, and it accepts a form parameter that we have over here, that is known as script. As I already told you guys before that we had that, if you guys remember, in the audio component we have the value of a script that is gonna go over to the backend to be processed. So this is that one. And then we ensure that that a directory known as audio files does exist. Okay, then we have to like set up the variables for name, preset, template, file name, and file path. So basically the name is the name of the voice that we're gonna be using, and over here we have the preset and templates. These are the ones that I've chosen. I'll also let you guys know a few minutes after about like what about the list of presets and templates and names and where to like find them on AudioStack. They have the whole list on their website, and I'll show you guys that. So for the file name we're gonna be like using the UID library in order to like make a unique number for every single file name, and the file type we will be creating of the audio would be .wav, and the file path would be over here in the audio files, and then the file name, so that the file is stored over here. And then we create a script item. Over here you guys can see we create a script item using AudioStack, using the provided text in the script parameter. Over here you guys can see the script parameter, and this effectively sends the text to AudioStack for further processing. So over here then we have the speech item. This basically creates like our audio, and over here we set the voice is equals to name. The name is Cosmo that we defined over here. As I've told you before, AudioStack has multiple voice types, and by the way, a plus point is that you guys can also like clone your own voices, and then you can also I guess use that as the voice name over here. And the speed for that voice we have set that as 1, like just the basic setup. Okay, so then we create then we move on to creating a mix item combining the speech with audio elements. So over here then we're gonna be like using the generated speech, sound template, and the mastering preset. So basically the created speech, the sound template, and the preset, they are all combined in order to create our audio. And then this mix is downloaded from AudioStack server, and then it is stored over here in our audio files folder. And of course we have the like same old exception so that we can print what error we had, and an HTTP exception is raised in case that anything goes wrong. So this is the main part of how we are going to be generating our audio using AudioStack. So finally we have this cleanup function. This is like on shutdown. It deletes all audio files it deletes all the files in the audio files folder. This is just to save some space. And over here this these lines check if the script is like run directly or not, or is it like not imported. If so, it starts the UVCon server that is hosted at this point and at the port 8000. Okay, so another important point to note is that right now you guys won't like get even if the URL that we defined over here, this return URL, even if this return URL is like given to the front end, and if you click on the download button, nothing would happen. In fact, you guys might get an error. But the point is that what you guys can do is that the generated audio file from here, you can store that in any database and then get the link of that stored space and then return that link to the user. And after the user has downloaded that file, make sure to like add a trigger so that that file is deleted from the database. This is some of what of an idea that you guys can do. I just like kept it really simple so that you guys can like further on experiment it by yourself. But this is something that you guys can do if you want to like add such a feature into production or something, because this is like not for production, this is just for like a pet project or something. Right now we are back to our audio.tsx component, and over here we're gonna be connecting it to the backend fast API. So first of all, you guys have to install exist using this command npm install exist. I've already done it since it would have taken some time. So over here we're gonna first import it, and then we are gonna set some states. We have the downloading, set downloading, and download URL and set download URL. So that set download URL and download URL are gonna be for the download button, as these are gonna like we're gonna get them from the backend. And okay, so this is for like clearing like any download URL that was sent before, so that we always get a like latest download URL. And of course, before there's anything done, the state of this downloading variable should be set to false. It is only set to true once the backend tells us that once we like give like the go to the backend to like in order to start generating the audio. Over here we have like connected our API URL, which should be running on like port 8000, and the API endpoint generate audio. Over here we have the generate audio function. This is an asynchronous function. First of all, we're gonna be like setting the set downloading variable state to true and the set download URL to like an empty string, so that the created URL would be set inside it. And after that we have the form data. This creates like a new form data object over here. This is like used to hold data to be sent with the HTTP request. So this would like basically send the script of the user into our backend fast API. And over here we have the const response is equals to await dot post API URL and form data. This basically sends an asynchronous HTTP post request to the backend using Axios. So the URL for the request is defined by the API URL, and the data is being sent as the form data object. This request asks the server to generate audio basically based on the user's input, which was the script. So over here we like then set the download URL. This updates the download URL with the full URL to the generated audio file, making it like ready for download. And we have like some like error handling, and we are like console.log. I was just checking that if we get the download URL correctly or not. And if no URL is like received, we get the error message over here, no URL received from server, and we like catch any errors that are like happening. So over here in the front end part, the only changes we made are like over here this, and we have like disabled the downloading for this. On clicking
Hi there,
that,
this is my script.
would be
Please generate an audio for me.
And over here,
just me making sure this
the
project works or
downloading
not.
is happening, so set the text inside this button to generating. And if downloading is not happening, then set the text to generate audio. By default, downloading is disabled in this button, but downloading is only enabled when we click it, and that only happens that on click we have added the handle generate audio function. So after that we have the download URL, as I told you guys before, and if we received the download URL over here, only then will this download audio button be visible. Before wrapping this project up, let's make sure that this actually works. Open the we're gonna run the front end using the npm run dev command, and for the backend just write python muvcon main app. Main is because the file name is main, so it is running. Let's open it over here, and there we go, our app is open. And let's just generate an audio for it. We're gonna have to wait a few seconds for this. Just check over here. Yes, our API is running. And yes, cool. So the generate audio button gets to like the default function, and then we get the download audio button. And of course, as you guys can see, the URL over here. Oh god. Okay, so as you guys can see, the URL that is displayed on the bottom left corner, this is not exactly what would like allow you to download the file, but as I've like shared before, you guys could like have this generated audio uploaded to a database, and then the link for that database's storage should be like returned to the user, and then the user might be able to download it like to the computer. You guys can do something like that, and let's see where the audio file is. And over here we have this audio file. I'll just run it for you guys, but since I'm like screen recording, you might not be able to hear the generated audio, but I'll just run this, and then in the next screen I'll like add in the audio that is generated from here, so that you guys can see the quality of the audio being generated. So okay, that's done, and I'll just add this generated audio in the next screen for you guys to like listen if this is worth it or not. Okay, so as promised, let's explore AudioStack a bit. You guys have to go to docs.audiostack.ai. We just went to guides, and over here we have like the get started part. They have listed down multiple use cases over here. One of the use cases, the one that we did to like convert a script into an audio, and they have like we can also like generate a subtitle file for a YouTube video. We can generate voiceovers for like online videos, and we can also like clone voices. We can denoise any of the audios. We can like create hundreds of audio assets dynamic programmatically in minutes. Like also we can like create multiple versions of one audio. Over here let's just check, we have the beginner's guide, like setting up your environment and all that stuff, like how to create Python file, how to like set up the stuff. And over here we have like the developer's guide. We have the Python SDK, we have the JavaScript SDK. You can just use whatever you want. So take a look. We can also like convert a CSV file into an audio. Isn't like really cool? And then we can like install all of this stuff. We can like generate an AI voiceover plus sound for your YouTube video, the subtitle. And guess what, you can also like we have the voice and text to speech function, and this also has like multilingual voices and supports. We have the sound design, sound templates, and over here you guys can see that there are like a whole list of the templates you can choose from here, and you can use them according to your needs. We also have something that I found interesting was this pod stack. We can convert a text into fully produced long form podcast. Like that was pretty interesting for me. And over here we have like the API references. Everything is like done pretty well. Okay, so over here what you have to do is like just add in your API key, and then you can choose any language of your need. You can also use it like this. Take a look, we have like lots of languages available. So for like just log in using add your API key. Okay, just add in your API key over here, and then you can run this code and try it out as well. So there are like multiple stuff over here that you guys can try out. I really found this interesting, and there are lots of use cases. Though what we did was like the simplest of all, just turning a script into an audio file, and have like shared multiple use cases that are shared by them over here. So if you guys like want to explore more, then do so, and like let your creativity run wild. Like try various stuff, and then let me know in the comments below, or in the Twitter, or at my Twitter account. Just DM me or whatever. Like I'd love to like hear about what you guys build with AudioStack. That would be like really cool. I really hope that you guys like this project, and if you guys have any recommendations, then please share them in the comments below. And till our next video, please take care. Allah Hafiz.